Dear friends, today we have with us Professor Dennis Chang, who is the director of NICM Health Research Institute and professor of pharmacology at Western Sydney University. Now, NICM, which stands for National Institute of Complementary Medicine, is the only such department in Australia which is in collaboration with the Ministry of Ayush from the Indian government. And let's welcome Professor Chang. Professor Chang, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah. Professor Chang, I want to begin by asking you first about NICM, the work that is done, and then the significance of Ayurveda which is the Indian ancient holistic medicine system within that research. So if you could let us know.
Yeah, thank you. So as you correctly pointed out, that NICM stands for National Institute of Complementary Medicine, which was initially seed-funded by the federal government and state of the New South Wales government back into 2007, with the intention to enhance the scientific evidence behind the complementary and integrated medicine through robust scientific research. So over the last 15, 16 years, so we have built quite significant platforms, and we have three main platforms within NICM or NICM, and that is our preclinical platform, our clinical trial platform, as well as our translational research platform. So in the preclinical areas, we have been setting up a very robust and state-of-the-art facility in analytical chemistry, where we try to identify the key active components from herbal and natural medicines and quantify them. And then we go on to undertake pharmacological research and try to understand the mechanism underlying those herbal medicine in terms of its molecular target and what receptors interact with and what actually signaling pathway and those active component from natural medicine work and how does that work. So in the preclinical area, we also undertake R&D work where we employed some novel extraction and formulation technology, actually developed novel herbal formulation based on our research. For example, in the analytical lab, one of our researchers really specialized in looking at interaction among different active components, how they actually work together to produce these synergistic interactions and help to enhance the therapeutic effectiveness overall. So based on that, we can develop some novel herbal formulation.
Now, how important do you think, Professor Chang, it is to invest in this kind of research? Because I know that in India, say for instance, turmeric, has been held to have many medicinal properties, and especially carcinogenic properties. Eventually, that link has been established. I think even in modern medicine, that link has been established, but it took a long time. It took many years. So how important is it to take this very seriously and to really have investment into and research into these kinds of medicinal traditions which have existed for centuries and millennia? And of course, because you need scientific basis to be able to administer them, so this is important. But how important is it to get to it sooner?
I think it's important in twofold. So firstly, that we know that the chronic disease is become a major health issue worldwide. So we also know that conventional pharmaceutical medicine doesn't solve all the problem. So especially in the chronic disease prevention and management. So that's where complementary medicine could potentially play a role there. So I guess for example, some chronic disease where conventional medicine do not have viable options, such as vascular dementia. So then we can look into herbal medicine and natural medicine to basically to look into the evidence to support their use, and that actually can fill in that gap, helping to manage and even prevent chronic disease. That's one thing. Secondly, that is more from the public safety perspective. And we do trials and not only to look at the efficacy, we also looking at the safety of that. So it's a really a way to protect the consumers and the patient's well-being. And if the trial to prove to be the intervention proved to be toxic or to be producing side effect, and also producing some kind of a herb-drug interaction, that latter is a quite critical in clinical practice. So you don't want to see patient taking two type of the medicine that interact with each other, producing toxic effect. So it is important to research into that areas as well.
Yeah. And if you could tell us a little more about your collaboration with Ayush and the work you've done specifically with regards to Ayurveda at the Institute.
Yes, our work actually, our collaboration with Ayurveda in Ayurveda actually started back into 2019, where we started talking to institute, probably the one of the best Ayurvedic research institute in India, by the name of All India Institute of Ayurveda, AIIA. They are direct subsidiary to the Ministry of Ayush, as you pointed out, their traditional medicine ministry. So we built collaboration through working with them, actually running joint webinars, and then we formalized that relationship through a MOU signing back in 2019. So on that basis, we gradually developed our relationship, and then that's when we found out that, in fact, Ministry of Ayush offered this global program called Academic Chair in Ayurveda. And then we started talking to Minister Ayush through AIIA, and then we established that connection. Eventually, that led to the MOU signing, I think back into 2022. In that agreement, we said that we are happy to co-fund a chair in Ayurveda, where Ministry of Ayush covers the salary part of it, and then Western Sydney University through NICM actually covers the local costs and accommodation, etc., for the Ayurveda chair candidates. So as a result of that, we selected through a competitive process a person by the name of Associate Professor Raja Coppola actually came to join us early in 2024. So he has finished his 1 year with us, and now he has gone back to AIIA, and now we are waiting for his replacement.
All right. Professor Chang, also wanted to ask you that, medicine can be used in both ways. One is, of course, for treating ailments, for treating diseases. But one part of traditional medicine, at least even with Ayurveda, is also prevention. That, there are certain things you can do, certain supplements you can take, you can have a certain kind of lifestyle to prevent from diseases impacting you. So does your research cover that aspect, or is it more focused towards like treating ailments and also taking supplements in conjunction with the already ongoing treatments?
We do a bit of a both, more on probably on the disease treatment part, management part, and however, we one of our strength is it's basically lifestyle medicine, for example. So look at the physical activities, look at other forms of mind-body therapies and how they help release stress, for example, that underline lots of the chronic diseases. And we're looking into inflammation. Again, that's actually a hallmark of many of the chronic diseases. And I have to say that preventative trials are very difficult to run because it takes a long time and take a much bigger sample size and to be able to do that. So we haven't been doing many of them, but we are very interested in pursuing that part of because as you mentioned, that's really one of the potential advantage and strengths of natural and complementary traditional medicine is for the disease prevention. So similarly, in our laboratory, we're also actually looking into their mechanisms of actions and the mode of actions, how those interventions work. And that also can be used, the data can be used to explain why some of the intervention can help to prevent diseases as well.
Yeah, and Professor Chang, any results that you can share with us, like in your research, have there been any supplements or medication which has actually come into the market after the trials have finished, or they're still not yet reached that stage, like post clinical trials where there would be certain things that were tested and now they are available to the general public?
Yes, we doing trials, and some of the trials are in the early stage of its development. So, as you understand that the drug development, including complementary medicine development, take years. So we also have been doing some industry commission trials. So those trials certainly link to their commercialization and the marketing part of that, because some of the trials are proved to be effective through this robust clinical trial. And so the company used that data to further promote and commercialize their product. So that's happening. So we also start actually looking into developing our own intellectual property, as I mentioned, based on our research, especially the synergy research. And there are a couple of interventions in the pipeline, but it probably still take several years before we reach to the stage of commercialization.
Yeah. And just before I conclude, I want to ask you, Professor Chang, that what is the general level of awareness, in Australia with regards to natural medicine or traditional medicine, and how important do you think is for people to also know about it? If I were to ask you.
Yeah, so that's I'm glad that you asked that question. Fundamentally, the prevalence of use of a complementary medicine in Australia is among the highest in Western countries. So when you look at the statistics, and you will see probably 70 to 75% of the Australian population has been using some form of a complementary medicine. And then you can look at the size of the complementary medicine manufacturing industry in Australia, which is worth about $62 billion per annum. So that's quite significant. So on that, many of the complementary medicine, if not or close to 100% of the complementary medicine product consumed by Australia are made in Australia locally, even though many of them actually use imported ingredients. But in terms of the manufacturing of those medicine are largely happening in Australia. So it does actually represent quite significant industry, homegrown significant industry in Australia. So the consumers, like I said, reflected by the prevalence of use and the acceptance of a complementary integrated medicine intervention are quite high among public.
And any final thoughts that you would like to share with us before we conclude the interview?
Yes, I think this is complementary integrated medicine research is urgently needed. As I said, that from both disease prevention and management perspective, and also from the protection of the public well-being perspective as well. So the complementary medicine usage is grassroots movement there. So, but the consumers deserve better scientific evidence, like for their disease management and also for their protection as well.
Yeah. Professor Chang, thank you so much for taking your time today and for speaking with us. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.